Listen to me. There will be days when everything in you screams to abandon the path you once knew was right. Your emotions will rise and fall like a storm, tossed sea, and if you let them steer you, they will carry you far from the place you are called to stand. Your mood is a terrible master, fickle, fragile, and easily swayed, but a plan grounded in conviction, forged in clarity, and strengthened by discipline is a steadfast companion in the darkest hour. Do not wait to feel motivated. Do not wait to feel strong. Do not wait to feel ready. If you live by feelings, you will live a life of inconsistency. High today, crushed tomorrow. A plan is not built for your brightest days. It is built to keep you standing in the days when every part of you wants to quit. There will be moments when fatigue whispers, just skip it. When discouragement says it's not worth it. When fear tells you you're not capable, but your plan, your commitment, must speak louder than those voices. You don't rise by surrendering to emotion. You rise by refusing to let emotion dictate your steps. Hold fast. Keep walking. Keep showing up. The one who endures is not the one who always felt inspired, but the one who acted faithfully when inspiration was nowhere to be found. Your mood may try to control you, but you are not bound to obey it. Let your plan govern your direction, and let your discipline carry you where your feelings refuse to go. Your mood is unreliable, but a disciplined plan keeps you steady when emotions fluctuate. This truth cuts deeper than most people realize, because it exposes something uncomfortable within us. We often trust our feelings more than our convictions. We wake up and decide the direction of our day not based on purpose, not based on what we promised ourselves, but based on a slight shift in emotion, a fleeting discomfort, a sudden spark of excitement, or an unexplainable heaviness that sits on our chest. And we rarely question it. We let it rule us, shape us, and lead us. Yet moods change like weather, sometimes without warning, without reason, and without concern for what they interrupt. To build a life on the instability of shifting emotions is to build a house on sand, and when the winds come, when pressure mounts, when discouragement tries to shake you, everything collapses. But a disciplined plan, grounded in intention and carried out with purpose, becomes an anchor when those winds begin to howl. Most people don't fail because they lack desire. They don't fail because they lack dreams or ambition or the vision of who they could be. They fail because they place more trust in the emotions of the moment than in the commitments they made in clarity. Feelings pull them in different directions, and they follow without ever stopping to question whether their mood is a trustworthy guide. A disciplined plan is not emotional. It doesn't rise and fall with the tide. It doesn't panic when life becomes chaotic, and it doesn't celebrate prematurely when things seem easy. A disciplined plan stands firm day after day, reminding you of who you said you wanted to become when your mind was steady and your purpose was sharp. There will be days when you feel unstoppable, when energy flows through you effortlessly, when every task feels manageable and even exciting. On those days, mood and plan walk in the same direction. But those days are not the ones that test your character. Anyone can follow a plan when they feel good. The true test arrives when motivation disappears, when fatigue sinks into your bones, when doubt whispers that you aren't enough, or when discouragement convinces you that progress is too slow to matter. These are the days when the heart feels heavy and the mind feels clouded. These are the days when your mood becomes your enemy. If you listen to it, you begin to make excuses that sound reasonable, even wise. You begin to justify shortcuts. You begin to postpone the work you once vowed to do, and little by little, without realizing it, you drift further from your goal. But a disciplined plan does not negotiate with excuses. It doesn't soften when you're tired or bend when you're stressed. It speaks one message: do what you said you would do. It calls you back to the path each time your emotions try to pull you off course. It reminds you that consistency is not built in the moments of excitement, but in the moments of resistance. Discipline is forged through repetition, through showing up when it's inconvenient, through taking the next step when your mind argues against it, through honoring your commitments even when your feelings fight to escape them. Many people misunderstand discipline. They think discipline is about punishment or denying yourself comfort, but that's only a shallow view. Discipline is freedom. It frees you from the chaos of emotional impulsiveness. It frees you from being ruled by temporary feelings. It frees you from the frustration of watching your life move in circles instead of forward. When you live by mood, you become a slave to unpredictability. When you live by discipline, you become a master of direction. Mood might change 100 times in a day, but discipline remains constant. It doesn't ask if you feel like it. It simply asks if you will obey the plan that leads to your growth. Consider how unpredictable mood truly is. One moment you wake up energized, ready to take on the world. 30 minutes later, a minor inconvenience deflates you. One conversation can shift your entire emotional state. A single memory, worry, or unexpected interruption can change your mood so quickly that if someone paid attention, they might not even recognize the same person from hour to hour. Why would you build your life on that? Why would you entrust your dreams, your future, as something so unstable? You need something stronger to guide you. You need something that remains stable even when you are not. A disciplined plan gives you structure when everything inside you feels scattered. It gives you direction when your mind wavers. It gives you stability when emotions melt beneath pressure. When you follow a disciplined plan, you are not denying your emotions. You are preventing them from dictating your destiny. Emotions have their place. They can warn you, inspire you, speak truth to you in ways logic sometimes cannot. But they are not meant to sit behind the steering wheel of your life. Emotions make wonderful indicators, but terrible leaders. A plan grounded in discipline ensures that you are guided not by momentary impulses, but by long-term purpose. It ensures that your life is shaped intentionally, not reactively. You must understand that discipline is not built overnight. It is trained gradually through persistent effort. Each time you override your mood and act according to your plan, you strengthen your character. Each time you follow through despite resistance, you build a deeper level of self-respect. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you become someone you can trust. And trust in yourself, real trust, is not formed by feeling good, but by witnessing yourself do what you said you would do. When your actions align with your intentions long enough, you become solid, dependable, grounded. You stop doubting whether you can follow through because you have proven to yourself again and again that you can. And it is important to acknowledge this. You will have moments where you slip, moments where you let mood win, moments where discipline feels impossible. But those moments do not define you unless you decide to stay there. Discipline is not perfection. Discipline is persistence. Every time you choose to return to your plan after straying from it, you strengthen the muscle that holds your life together. Every time you recalibrate and continue forward, you teach your mind that emotion is not your master. Look at anyone who has achieved something meaningful, anyone who has built strength, skill, character, or success. They are not driven primarily by mood. They are guided by discipline. They don't wait to feel like acting. They act, and often the feeling follows later. They understand that mood is unreliable and that emotion cannot be the foundation of greatness. You cannot become who you were meant to be if you quit every time you feel uncomfortable. Growth demands consistency. Consistency requires discipline, and discipline is strongest when mood is weakest. There is a deeper reason why discipline matters. It reveals what you value. If you live based solely on mood, it shows that comfort is your priority. But when you choose to follow your plan even when your feelings rebel, it shows that growth is your priority. It shows that character matters more to you than momentary ease. It shows that you are willing to endure difficulty to become the person you claim you want to be. Discipline is the evidence of desire. Anyone can want something, only those who discipline themselves pursue it. Your future self depends on the choices you make today, on whether you let mood rule you or whether you follow the plan you have set. Moods are temporary, but their consequences can be lasting. If you surrender to emotion, you build patterns that weaken you. But if you stand firm in discipline, you build patterns that strengthen every part of your life. In the end, the question is simple. Will you be controlled by what you feel in the moment, or will you be guided by what you know is right? Moods fade, feelings shift. But a disciplined plan will carry you through the highs and lows, through the chaos and calm, through every season where emotion alone would make you crumble. When mood fails you, and it will, discipline is what keeps you standing. True progress comes from acting on commitment, not waiting for motivation or good feelings. This truth is simple, yet lived out by very few. Most people misunderstand progress. They imagine it as a surge of energy, a burst of inspiration, a wave of motivation that lifts them forward. They believe that growth happens when the stars align, when their mood is high, when their excitement is strong, when everything inside them feels eager and ready. But that's not reality. That's fantasy. Real progress, deep, steady, undeniable progress, has little to do with how you feel and everything to do with the commitments you honor when your feelings disappear. Anyone can act when emotions are favorable. But the person who rises, the person who matures, the person who builds something meaningful is the one who acts even when every emotional impulse tells them to wait. Waiting for motivation is the silent killer of potential. People wait for the right feeling. They wait for passion to strike. They wait to feel confident, to feel excited, to feel ready. They waste days, months, even years believing that progress begins with emotion. But emotions lie, emotions change, emotions fluctuate, and if you depend on them, you will spend your life waiting for a moment that rarely arrives. Meanwhile, the opportunity to grow slips through your fingers. Progress doesn't wait for your mood. It doesn't wait for convenience. It doesn't wait for comfort. It only waits for one thing: your decision to act based on commitment, not feeling. Commitment is a promise rooted in conviction. It's something you decide when your mind is clear, when your heart is honest, when you see your purpose with sharp clarity. Commitment is made in a moment of truth, not a moment of emotional excitement. Motivation will whisper, "Start when you feel inspired," but commitment says, "Start because it is right, start because it is time, start because you said you would," and that's why commitment is powerful. It binds you to a direction long after the emotion that gave birth to the idea fades away. Motivation gives you a spark. Commitment builds a fire that does not go out. To act on commitment requires a kind of strength the world rarely talks about. The strength of consistency. Consistency is not glamorous. It doesn't look impressive in the moment. It's the small, daily choice to follow through. It's the quiet decision to do the work even when your heart feels dull and your mind feels tired. It's choosing discipline over comfort, purpose over impulse, and truth over emotion. Many people despise consistency because it demands something from them every day. It exposes whether their desire is real or just a temporary feeling. It forces them to confront their own excuses, their own laziness, their own fears. But consistency is where transformation happens. Consistency is where weakness becomes strength, where confusion becomes clarity, where dreams become reality. People fear commitment because it requires action even when feelings disappear. They fear being tied to something that doesn't always feel good. But that fear blinds them to a greater truth. Commitment is the very thing that sets them free from aimlessness, from regret, from the frustration of never finishing what they start. When you act only on motivation, your progress is always unstable. You rise, then fall, you begin, then abandon, you build, then neglect, because motivation is momentary. It burns bright for a moment, then fades, but when you act on commitment, your progress becomes durable. It becomes steady, it becomes grounded. Even if the steps feel small, they accumulate. Even if the days feel difficult, they count. Commitment turns effort into progress, and progress into momentum. Good feelings are not the foundation of success. They are temporary comforts, not lasting guides. Do not misunderstand. Feelings matter, but they cannot lead. Good feelings often arrive after discipline, not before it. You don't always feel good before you start, but something happens after you finish. After you act on commitment, after you push through resistance, after you complete the task you wanted to avoid, a deeper satisfaction replaces the temporary discomfort. That satisfaction is the reward of discipline. It is stronger, deeper, richer than the shallow thrill of motivation. Good feelings may encourage you, but they cannot sustain you. Commitment sustains you. It carries you through the dull days, the heavy days, the stressful days, the days when everything inside you feels unprepared. Progress requires resistance. It requires friction. It requires effort that stretches you, challenges you, and confronts the parts of you that want to remain comfortable. Motivation avoids resistance because motivation thrives only in ease. But commitment endures resistance because commitment is rooted in purpose, not in comfort. When you act on commitment, you learn that difficulty is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are moving in the right direction. Growth always requires discomfort. Anyone who waits until they feel good before taking action will never experience the type of growth that discomfort produces. Think about those who achieve meaningful progress in any area of life, whether it's physical strength, mental maturity, skill development, spiritual growth, or personal responsibility. They all share a common trait. They act on commitment, not on mood. They show up when it's hard. They show up when motivation is low. They show up when no one is praising them, when no one is noticing, when no one is cheering them on. They show up because their foundation is not emotional, it is intentional. Their progress is not the result of powerful feelings, it is the result of persistent action. You must come to understand that commitment is a form of truthfulness. It is honesty lived out through action. When you commit to something, you declare, "This matters." And every time you follow through, you proclaim, "I mean what I say." But when you wait for motivation, you send a different message to yourself. My feelings matter more than my goals. My comfort matters more than my future. My emotions matter more than my integrity. Whether you realize it or not, these repeated choices shape the person you become. Acting on commitment builds a person of character. Waiting for motivation builds a person of inconsistency. Progress demands that you override your feelings, not suppress them, not ignore them, but choose not to be ruled by them. There will be days when commitment feels heavy, days when the path feels long, days when your mind questions whether the effort is worth it. But progress often looks like this: small steps taken repeatedly when no one sees, when no one praises, and when no emotion supports you. Those steps, though unseen, reshape your future. The painful truth is this: if you wait for motivation, you will always fall short of your potential. Motivation shows up when it wants to, but commitment shows up when you tell it to. Motivation is a visitor, commitment is a resident. Motivation is unstable, commitment is anchored. Motivation is a spark, commitment is the flame that keeps burning long after the spark is gone. And progress is made not by sparks, but by steady fire. You must decide what kind of person you want to be, one who reacts to emotion or one who lives by conviction, one who moves only when it feels good or one who moves because it is right, one who waits for perfect conditions or one who builds progress through imperfect days. Emotion may lead you in circles, but commitment leads you forward. It pulls you past the pull of laziness, past the weight of discouragement, past the temptation to quit. When you act on commitment, you break the chain that binds your life to inconsistency. There is a profound strength that grows inside a person who acts without waiting for feelings. They discover that they are capable of more than they thought. They learn that they do not need to feel brave in order to act bravely. They learn that discipline creates confidence, not the other way around. They learn that progress is not something that happens to them. It is something they choose, day after day. The more you act on commitment, the more capable you become. The more capable you become, the more confident you feel. And the more confident you feel, the more progress becomes a natural part of your life. Commitment changes you. It shapes your character. It strengthens your integrity. It builds perseverance. It trains your mind to endure discomfort, and in doing so, it frees you from the prison of emotional dependence. The person who acts only when they feel like it never breaks this prison. Their life becomes unpredictable, unstable, unsteady, but the person who acts on commitment, regardless of emotion, becomes unshakable. They learn how to move through resistance instead of collapsing under it. They learn how to show up even when the world feels heavy. They learn how to continue even when the path is steep. If you want true progress, stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for excitement. Start acting on your commitments. Let your decisions lead, not your moods. Let your responsibility lead, not your emotions. Let your purpose lead, not your impulses. This is where progress begins, not with feelings, but with obedience to the commitments you have made. And as you continue to act on commitment day after day, something extraordinary happens. Your habits begin to align with your purpose. Your actions begin to reflect your values. Your life begins to shift from intention to reality. You become someone who can be counted on, not because you always feel strong, but because you act regardless of how you feel. That is the path of transformation. That is the path of progress. And that is the path reserved for those who refuse to let feelings govern the direction of their life.